afternoon or good morning. This is Rebecca and this is my Grove Knits Knitting Podcast. Welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I just simply use this space because I just love talking about my knitting. Unfortunately, not a lot of my friends all knit, so this is my opportunity to actually sit here and talk with friends, being you, about what I'm actually knitting on, and hopefully we can interact a little bit and I can kind of share my own knitting journey and what's actually going on in my knitting space. So, welcome. Now, as for what I've been knitting on, if I start with what I'm currently, what's cast on and what I've made a little bit of progress on over the last week and a bit, and like most of us, or like many of us perhaps, it's about the Stephen West Twists and Turns Make-Along. For me, I had a little bit of a misstep because I had ordered some absolutely stunningly beautiful yarn, which is now here and I'm going to show it to you shortly, but it didn't actually arrive in time for Clue 1. So I instead decided to actually pop into my stash yarn and pull out yarn for that, for the Stephen West Make-Along. And I am so glad that I did that because I actually think the yarn choices that I've made for this are better. I was initially going to go with some neutrals for this particular shawl, but when I went into my stash I've gone with some brights, and I actually think it suits what we're putting together so far a little bit better. So if you aren't wanting to have any spoilers, you might just want to skip ahead a little bit because I am just going to show my progress on Stephen West Make-Along. But my assumption is by now it's all over Instagram anyway. We're all seeing what the first clue was. Second clue is due to come down today or tomorrow at some point. So I've still got a fair bit of knitting because it's actually quite a tough knit. So let me talk about the yarn first of all. Excuse me while I grab it out of the bag. So these are the three yarns that I'm doing. This one here is just the single 100 grams, and these two are the ones that I've actually got both. So I'm using this yellow as my contrast colour and this bluey brown as my main colour, and then this will be my colour pop. So that's what I've gone with. Now this yellow yarn, Ordine Wool's Superwash Sock Yarn, and this is in the diode cover colourway, and it is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. So it is incredibly soft, lovely. I'm loving knitting, absolutely loving knitting with it. Completely different feel to this one. So this guy is Knit Picks Hawthorn Fingering, and it is in the Alameda colourway. And this is 80% superwash fine Highland wool and 20% polyamide. So it might be that fine Highland wool that gives you that little bit of difference. Still obviously incredibly soft, but not the same kind of softness as this guy. And then we have this beautiful specimen, and it is Ori Yarns, and it is in a Scoot sock, as the colourway is Electricity, and this is 70% extra fine merino, 20% baby alpaca and 10% nylon. So it has a little bit of alpaca in it, and it's just so pretty. So they're the three colours I've gone with, and this is what I've done so far. Now, if you've seen this put together, you'll know that these guys get plaited up. I'm just going to pause and do one for you. I need to do, if you count these yellow sections, I need to have 14 of them. So I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9. It takes so long. This is such a complex knit. Loving it. Never done anything like it. But it's so complex, and I'm so worried the whole shawl is going to be this way. But just let me quickly braid up these little guys, you'll see that these are all like cast-offs. See, I'm going to have my hands right through all that. So I'll just show you why they're all there. Alright, I've just put together a little bit of it. See how we sort of plait them together? And that will be across all of it. So it's actually an incredibly amazing way to do it. I've never seen that done before, and I'm really quite impressed. Stephen West, I really love looking at his make-alongs. I haven't participated every year, but I've watched them avidly and dreamed of participating. But he's not led me astray because it's just amazing artwork. I know whenever I wear his painting brick shawl, I actually get stopped and asked about it. And that's still to this day, and that's years old. I just cannot wear it without actually getting asked about it. Okay, so that's the one thing I'm knitting on. That's getting most of my time because I'd like to try and keep up, but there's no way I'm going to get another 5 colour repeats done before the next clue drop, so I'm going to be falling behind this week. The other thing that's getting my time, this one's coming to work with me because it's small enough to travel easily, and this is me knitting another, this is in cotton, another Summer Souffle by Laura Penrose. I've already knit one. I'll just pop that photo up here just so you can see it. I am doing this one the size smaller. Now I spoke about this in my last podcast about just keeping the same size and actually just running with it. But the more and more I think about it with how much this grows and how much the top keeps growing, I think I might be better off just trying the size down. If it is too small, if I don't like the way it fits, then I'll actually just gift it to someone else. So I've thought that through, and I'm going to go with the smaller size and just try my luck and see how that goes. So I won't be too unhappy if I do have to gift it, because I'm not in love with this colourway. I just happen to have 4 balls of this particular colourway. So I'm turning it into this top. If it's wearable for me, fantastic. If not, then I will gift it to someone who will absolutely treasure it. And so that will work. And the only other thing I've been knitting on is, behind me here, just this pair of socks. I haven't made too much progress, but I've been keeping this here beside the computer, and anytime I'm waiting for something, I'm just putting a few rows on it. But I actually really want to start progressing this a lot more. So it's the Stephen West make-along that's been getting all of my knitting attention. Let's have a look at a couple of finished objects. In the last podcast, I thought that I'd already shown you this shawl, but I hadn't actually finished it, so I am going to show you. And I have also finished my Guatemala, so I'm just going to show you those. Alright, so this is the Free Your Fade shawl by Andrea Mowry, and it has beautiful picot bind off. Weirdly, I actually haven't done a picot bind off before. Really love it. Would definitely want to do more of this again. Wasn't too bad, not too, I suppose no more time consuming than doing a excuse me, having a mind blank now, I can't remember what it's called. Doesn't matter. No more time consuming than most of the shawl bind offs that I do anyway. Alright. Now this is actually incredibly wearable. I am not the biggest fan of this yarn anymore. So even though, I'm just smelling it at the moment, even though I've washed this several times in my wool wash, it still has that really woolly smell, and fortunately I happen to like that. But it isn't something I get a lot of. It is scratchy, but not unwearable. Considering how sensitive I can be to wool, this has that sense of, when I think of this, this is that Donegal yarn, and when I wear it, it actually makes me think of the TV series or the books Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. And I picture that this is actually the yarn, or this style of yarn, that actually would have been used in a lot of those historical pieces. Because every time I wear this, that is actually how this feels. This is a beautiful, I'm loving the colours that I've chosen. I like the natural look of it. It is incredibly warm. It is comforting. It is everything you actually want in a shawl. And it is incredibly rustic feeling. And yes, it is a little bit scratchy, but not, doesn't make me itchy. It's not at that level of scratchiness. Just, I feel like I should be running through the Highlands of Scotland if ever I'm using this yarn in anything. It really has that true natural feel to it. And smell. Even after washing, it's just got a real lanolin, almost a little bit peppery as well, smell to it, and feels amazing. But again, it's nothing like, you can't compare this type of wool to any of this really highly processed, extra super soft stuff, because this is just, while it is scratchy, it is still soft, and just really natural feeling. So this one is actually getting a lot of use. And I didn't think it would, because I thought it would actually be a bit too scratchy for me. But I'm absolutely loving it. So it's not that neat. Alright. This is my Stephen West Garter Goodness. I think I said Guatemala earlier. Guatemala is the cardigan I've got in here. I've made no progress on my Guatemala cardigan. This is the Garter Goodness shawl by Stephen West, and this is absolutely massive. I have no idea how I'm going to get away with wearing this thing. I know that often his shawls are big, but this has taken that to another level. Fold this back. So this definitely falls into the massive schlanket size. So this is done with a lovely New Zealand wool, incredibly soft. It actually feels really squishy, almost like a cloud, but doesn't give you that tactile sense that this Donegal yarn does. Excuse me. This is the softness of everything that we're actually looking for lately when we're buying yarn, but as I said, I'm loving this stuff. I would never want a jumper or anything out of this. I couldn't possibly wear it. But I've got a few episodes back, I showed you the yarn that I actually bought for the project I was going to do with that, which was another Stephen West shawl. So I've actually got 7 balls of different colours of it. And I think that I will actually do some more with it, whether it be some mittens or some wrist things, or maybe even look at some patterns that are on Ravelry that are in that style from Outlander and actually produce some other items in that vein with that yarn, because it's just wonderfully rustic and period aligned. So my Guatemala is done. It's incredibly massive. Just let me show you from the sides. You can see I've put a matching, this is called mink, this colourway, the brown, and I pulled it out of the minky kind of colour that was in with the green, just to give it that edging. So we go across here. It could have actually had more knitted on it, because I'm not at the stitches that was originally on the pattern before you cast off, but it was just getting so massive that I figured it was just time to actually call it quits and cast off, so I did. So my Guatemala is done. This will get a lot of wear in those really cold wintry days, because I'll typically wear this almost like I would wear a bolero or cardigan, where I bring it across my back and cross it over the front and then tie it at the back. And this is the good size to do that with. Excuse me. Please forgive my voice. I've actually got a cold. I've mentioned before I'm a high school teacher, so I'm around teenagers all day long and all of their germs, because they're very germy people and they give me all their germs. I do have to COVID test regularly still, so it's not COVID, it's just a cold. But unfortunately, it's all in my sinuses, which isn't fun. Alright, what else? I did get some yarn come this week, so let's have a look at this yarn that I've got. Now, this yarn's in 2 sections. I have my Knit Crate subscription that I get. So that arrived for September, the September colourways. And the box of yarn that I ordered through Knit Picks, which is the yarn I was going to use for the Stephen West Make Along, arrived. We'll do the Knit Picks stuff first. Now, because I don't want the colours to blow out, I will also pop a photo of these up as well. So in my stock crate, although that's actually pretty accurate, I got these two. I double up my order so that I actually get double the amount, because normally in the stock crate you just get one, so I get two. And it's a beautiful light grey. When you order your Knit Crate items, and I don't have an affiliate link, so I just actually buy it myself for myself, you can choose if you want to go with brights, with particular tonal groups. I actually go with a neutral and earthy group. I'm trying to move, I've noticed most of my yarn is all in the bright categories, and I really want to move to neutrals. I prefer to wear neutrals. I may like to knit in brights, case in point, but I typically wear, again, case in point, this is my weekend slipover by Petite Knits. I typically wear browns and neutrals and earthy colours. So this is a stunning grey, and this is Knit Logic Wanderer is what it's called. It is in the Dusty Dawn colourway. Right, not quite sure. I will still put a photo up just so you get an accurate colour representation. I think that's pretty close, but could be the Codral talking as well. And excuse me while I look over my glasses. This is 70% wool, 10% alpaca, 10% camel, and 10% nylon. So wool, alpaca, and camel. And that is just beautiful. Absolutely love it. Can't wait to do something amazing with it. And I will. So they can sit up there now. Oops. Yarn falling. Then, in my standard crate, so because I double it, I get 4. So I have 4 skeins of this gorgeous colour. See, it's a beautiful, like an olive green, khaki kind of colour. And this is Ordine Wool's Mellow range. Just holding the, so you can keep just looking at the yarn. And this is the High and Dry colourway. It is 80% alpaca and 20% tencel, and this is a bulky weight. So I truly love the look of this. I've mentioned before many times that I find alpaca quite itchy, but I'm actually starting to think that it might be the particular alpaca that my normal yarn provider creates, because I find that this alpaca feels completely different to the alpaca that I get from Bendigo Woolen Mills. So it could actually have just been one particular batch that was extra itchy. So I'm actually going to knit this one up for me and give it a go at wearing it. I'll probably turn this into, with these 4 skeins in bulky, just actually a really nice winter warming shawl. And give it a go around my neck and actually see if I can start to wear alpaca again. Because I'd like to. A lot of yarn I've got is alpaca. Oh, I can sort of start to feel it a little bit weird on my neck there, but we'll give it a go anyway. So that's gorgeous. Let's pop these up. All right, now this is my Knit Pro order. I'm about to show you the yarn that I had bought for the Stephen West Make Along that just didn't arrive in time. Now I did also buy some extra stitch markers. I just love these nice plain little brassy ones. So you can never go wrong getting more of those. And this box, excuse the noise for a sec. So these were my 3 colours that I was doing the Stephen West shawl in. These 2 were my 2 main colours, so main colour, contrast colour, and this was my pop. And it won't be wasted at all because I will absolutely use these. Do you mind? These are incredibly soft. So this is Capretta yarn in fingering weight, which is, we'll just wait for the dog to finish, 80% superfine merino wool, 10% cashmere and 10% nylon. The cashmere in this is just beautiful. So I really want to do something special with this. So I have 4 balls of this, 4 balls of this, or 200 grams of each of those, and 2 balls of this, so 100 grams of this. So it's essentially going to work out the equivalent of a 5 skein 3 colour shawl. So I will find something absolute perfection for me for next winter out of this. Although truthfully, I'd actually love to find some sort of jumper that I could do with it, because I love the thought of actually wearing this cashmere as a jumper, the merino and cashmere blend. So thank you so much for actually joining me and taking some time with me. I realise that we're all incredibly busy. I'm really looking forward to showing you more of my Stephen West make along, and what I'll possibly do is, as I knit bits and pieces, even if it's just a little 2-minute short, I might actually take some quick video and upload as I progress through this make along, because I'd really love you to see these sections all braided up and actually to start see how this comes together. So I'll wait and see how I feel as I'm tracking through. We're in the middle of massive floods coming through Victoria at the moment. Apparently it can't stop raining, so we'll see how all that tracks. But yeah, so I wouldn't mind sharing some more of my make along as I progress. Hopefully he takes a little bit easier on us, because while this has been magical knitting, as I said, it's actually I've really got to focus. It is a nice repeatable pattern, but I still actually have to keep on looking at where I'm at the beginning of each round. I can find my rhythm each time, but I've got to look back at the pattern continually. And that's not a bad thing, because Lord knows I do enough mindless knitting with the sweaters and bits and pieces that I do. I really love the way that Stephen West's pattern designs always challenge me, which is just fantastic. So have a wonderful day. I will upload this shortly and you can watch it. Please let me know. I would love to hear from you if there's anything you're actually knitting down below. I am thinking about doing a test knit as well. There's a designer that I've contacted on Ravelry about the possibility of doing a test knit for another vest actually. I really love this weekend slipover. I wear the death out of. Mind you, I probably need to do it in a slightly smaller size. But it's just that perfect. I realise it might seem weird having a t-shirt on under a vest, because I've heard some people comment that if it's warm enough to wear a wool vest, then surely you should have long sleeves on. But for me, especially when I've got a cold, I just want to keep my chest and my back warm. And so even in those, as we come into summer, not unless it's too hot, I typically wear vests a fair bit. So vests are actually quite a nice staple for me. And this is such a beautiful pattern. It truly is. So I'm considering doing a test knit for a vest that has some beautiful patterning on it. Hopefully I can talk about that and share that progress as I go. I think that needs to be done by November if I get in, so I would be dedicating my time to both the Stephen West shawl and that, and probably put the other stuff on the back burner. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, have a lovely rest of your week, and I will possibly post with my updates about the Stephen West shawl. If not, I will hopefully see you next week. Thanks. Bye.